tonight for our Hour of Code TechIT session. We are very pleased to have John Tusch here with us. He and I met at the CASL conference because he is the president of the CSTA, and we're looking forward to lots of partnerships with them. So without further ado, John.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here. And it was thrilled when Jenny approached me about coming to the conference, and when Shannon approached me about doing this. I'm really excited to be here. And CSTA is absolutely excited about what we're doing together, CASL and CSTA. CSTA is the Computer Science Teachers Association. It's a national organization. We have about 75 or 80 chapters because there's an awful lot of states that have multiple chapters. Connecticut has one. I happen to be the president right now. And that's a couple hundred of that. Oh, yes, we are recording. So just letting everybody know verbally as well, we are recording. For anybody who's on this call who's visually impaired, I am a white male, largely bald, wearing glasses. I am wearing a black fleece, and I've got a blurred background. So I am going to talk to you a little bit about CS Ed Week and Hour of Code and all of that. And that's what I was invited to come and talk about. It looks like there's a dozen of us on this meeting, so we don't need to stand on too many formalities. There will be a whiteboard we're all going to bounce into later, too, to share some ideas with each other. But that was kind of what I came to talk about. So let me share over entire screen. Boom and boom. Can I get a thumbs up from anybody in the meeting if you're seeing my slide deck now? Got it?
Great.
Good.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so let's get started. The purpose of this really is to talk about ideas for CS Ed Week. CS Ed Week is always the second full week. It's the week that involves December 9th. So hang on, let me see if I can get to where I can control this. Yes, I can. So a little bit about me before we get started. I am right now the president of CSTA Connecticut. We are a group of about 200 computer science educators around the state of Connecticut, from pre-K through 12. We also have representation in the college world. We do legislative work as well. Right now, we're working with the state on some challenge funds to get some PD opportunities for people who are training in that. We've done a lot of work around helping to advocate for things like the Tech Ed cross endorsement, which I don't know if any of you know, happens to be now praxis only. So if you ever wanted to be certified as a Tech Ed teacher or a computer science teacher, you can just take the praxis for that, and they will add the endorsement. You don't have to go back to school and do a lot of other work. That's for current certified Connecticut teachers. So I am been a teacher for over 30 years. I've taught computer science. Obviously, that was my most recent one. Right now, I'm what's called a theme coach. The nice thing about being a theme coach is nobody knows what that job is. I'm a magnet theme coach for a computer science high school. And we're called the Creck Academy of Computer Science and Engineering. We're in Enfield, Connecticut. And we have about 600 kids. We are in the third year of our theme, so our seniors didn't even come up through the theme. We have freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. And it's a rather in-depth program in computer science. Our kids take 2 full years of coding, your product development. Then they split into pathways where they do things like digital design or entrepreneurship, or they take programs like CSA where they're doing software engineering. So it's very much a computer sciencey place. So for us, Computer Science Ed Week is a big deal. I'm also an ISTE certified educator. My side hustle is web development and digital marketing. So when you wonder why certain websites show up on Google, that's why. And on the personal side, I'm an unapologetic Trekkie. I'm a diehard Mets fan. I don't apologize for that either, although I probably should. And I'm a book nerd. And my family is just us. I'm a really doting father of this young lady who is a freshman right now at the university, Eastern Connecticut State University, double majoring in communications and digital communications and voice. And that's my lady Grace, who is right now in Newark at a conference. So that's pretty nerdy, and I am a book nerd, and I love librarians because I love libraries. I go to libraries all the time. I think what you people do is amazing. Now, what is CS Ed Week? It was brought about in 2009. It's always the week that has 2009 in it. Who can pop out if you happen to know who that lady is in that picture? If you can just unmute yourself and yell it if you can. You get a lot of nopes.
Is that Grace Hopper?
Yes, it is. Well done. Boom. That is Admiral Grace Hopper. She actually was one of the earliest computer scientists in the business. You will find that most of the pioneers in computer science were women. It's amazing to think in these days that women are so underrepresented in the tech phase because they really pioneered it. And Grace is kind of a cool soul because she not only pioneered computer science, she pioneered the whole notion of programming algorithms. She pioneered a couple of languages, and barely could make admiral because of the sexism inside the U.S. Navy. But she is a hero when you look at that. As a matter of fact, when you think about marginalized people, the two biggest names in computer science probably are certainly Admiral Hopper. And then the other one is, have you ever heard of Alan Turing and the Turing test? And Alan Turing does anybody know what war he helped win?
World War II, and he had a movie all about it, right?
Yes, very good. And Alan Turing, as you probably already know, he was gay, and he was horribly persecuted because of that. So you think about how many marginalized people have really made our world amazingly better, which is why CSTA takes such a strong equity stand in all that we do. Now, they picked, it was in 2009 when they started this, CS Ed Week is a week of celebrating computer science education. And it's always on December 9th because it's Grace Hopper's birthday. And so whenever that falls, that's why it will always fall that week. Now, Hour of Code, that happened around 2013, and that became something that code.org put together. And they did a great job with that. And yet Grace needs a movie. I saw Shannon, and I couldn't agree with you more. Anyway, Hour of Code, it's a worldwide effort to get people more interested in computer science. They're hoping that you will find a way to get kids for an hour to do a lot of 1 hour of code activities. I'm going to walk you through a lot of those. The first thing I wanted to share with you, I'm going to share with you the many things that we've done and some ideas that come to me from the National, because I just did a CSTA workshop with the National where I shared a lot of ideas, or they shared a lot of ideas there as well. Hour of Code is a guaranteed hit. When you go to Hour of Code, it's hourofcode.com. So don't worry about it. It's not that hard to get to. And Hour of Code is just that. When you go to the activities, there is a ton of activities that can be searched and that can be put out. You can put links to this on websites. This stuff is privacy safe. So it signed all of the Connecticut pledges that it needed to sign. So you can so the first and easiest, you do one thing you're taking away from tonight, that's this. Hour of Code's a guaranteed hit. You can save to something for CS Ed Week, and you will be doing things for kids. The idea behind it is to say to kids, we want you to see yourself in this place. Coding is fun. Coding, problem solving is fun. Being creative is fun. Coding is creative. This is the kind of thing we love to do with kids. So the idea behind Hour of Code is fun, fun, fun. They pick a lot of stuff. Sometimes it may seem a little kitschy to the adults, but the kids really do get a kick out of it. You'd be amazed. I teach high school. I've taught for over half my career in high school. I also taught middle, and I did teach elementary and pre-K for a while. But when I was teaching high school, I was surprised how many of them picked a lot of like the young Star Wars-y stuff and the stuff that went back to Minecraft. My suggestion with this one, dive in on your own time, go to Hour of Code, have some fun with it. That's one of the easiest lifts to get involved with this. Sorry, give me a second. Let me get back to my presentation. I have too many. Isn't that a metaphor for something? I have too many things open. Here we go. Here we go. Now, oftentimes when I do things, when we do our Hour of Code, we often put things out in a choice board. And I'm going to share with you my last year's choice board. Now, the choice board, and this link, I'll make sure it gets into the, when this is all done, I'm going to share with the group a link to a Canva whiteboard. We're all going to use Canva whiteboard tonight as a part of this. I don't know if you know Canva whiteboard. A lot of you may remember FigJam or Jamboard or Padlet. Whiteboard is actually a special feature inside of Canva. And for those of you who don't know this, Canva is actually free to all teachers nationally. And you can get your kids on it. And it's safe, and it's passed the privacy test. So anyway, the choice board. What I do, I'll click on it, and here comes the choice board. And we simply did this. We pushed this out to our kids at our school. We shut down the school for an hour. We say, this is Hour of Code. And last year, we put up a whole brand new schedule. This year, we ran into some trouble because we ran into teacher conferences this week. So this year, we're actually taking one of those half days And there's a 1 hour period during one of those half days. We're just shutting the school down on Friday, and that's our hour of code. And the way I laid this out last year was we did, new coders got some game or coder supreme. So I leveled it out. And when you do a choice board, the thing I noticed about this year that we're going to change is by the time this one gets up, it's going to have a lot more AI in it, because there's a lot of ways that we want to get kids playing with AI and how machines learn. And there's some activities around that. If you go up to the intermediate level, again, we found a lot of these. I will put this link in the whiteboard so you all have it. And if I don't, if I forget, just somebody write me an email, Shannon, if I say something like that, and I forget to put the link in, just remind me, nag me, because I forget my head some days. But these were fun, and these were very popular. And particularly building the chatbot was fun. The new coders ones that were most popular were Codecocktron. The Mario was huge. The BB-8 was huge. The Minecraft was huge. And then for the kids who went a little bit crazy, we had a couple of kids who did Show Me the Bitcoin. And any of the BB-8s, because there's multiple levels of BB-8, they really, really loved that. So these are all fun activities. You just hop into them, and then they will actually, this is code.org's version of it. It shows you a video that kind of talks it through with the kids. Then music, but it plays some Star Wars music that gamifies it. It engages in something called block coding. So you want to get 8 over to this right here. I'm going to go right, move right, and there we go. And I pass, and I go to continue, and it gives me a harder one. Move right, down, etc. And the kids just love to play with it. And you can actually, with code.org, set up full classes. If you decided to formalize this, code.org has the capacity to set up classes. You can just dump things in from your Power School or your Schoology, and it will actually allow you to set up classes. So if you want to make this a more formal class activity, because I know in some library contexts, the school librarian also has to take on full classes. So it's the kind of thing that you could do. I'm realizing that's one of the reasons that CASL and CSTA are kind of a match right now. Oh, it's glitchy when I'm in the app. Got it. Next time I go over to the app, I will do a slightly different share. Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate that. So if I'm going to show a video again, I'll fix that. But the CASL and CSTA partnership is really good, because oftentimes I'm finding, and you can tell me if I'm crazy for thinking this, an awful lot of librarians are, hey, you can pick up a CS class, you can pick up a tech class, you know how to turn the computer on, so you're going to do this. And you get, some of y'all pick it up because you wanted to build those maker spaces, and that's awesome. And some of y'all get voluntold those jobs. And so I kind of wanted to make sure you got the support. And just so you know, we've been after today. That's what CSTA is here for. So please, it's free to join CSTA. Shameless plug. Let me get back over to what we're working on. Okay. What do we got going on here? Okay, so that's my choice board. Now, when we do it, we take over. This was my last year's schedule. All right. So it's the kind of thing, and you're going to get this slide deck. But literally, we did Hour of Code. I will talk to you about gaming for equity. We did that. We did game workshops. These are the kinds of things. My recommendation is we get to go a little crazy because I'm a magnet theme coach. I don't have a class load. So I get to spend my entire day doing stuff like this. When I was teaching for 30 plus years, I actually worked shorter weeks than I work now. And that's not by way of complaint. I love my job. It's just that when you have control over your schedule, which frankly, most teachers don't have. So my recommendation is look at all of these, pick one and find one that you're like, ooh, that's one thing that I think I can manage in my school. Maybe I can get a few $100 for it, a couple $100. Maybe it doesn't cost you anything. All right. So that's this year's schedule, and this is actually going to adjust. This is kind of how our schedule works, because I had to do this funky special schedule. And then this right here is going to switch because we just found out the Lieutenant Governor is coming to our school on Tuesday the 10th to celebrate CS Ed Week. So we're fortunate enough. So if y'all want to come out at our school, the Lieutenant Governor is going to read the gubernatorial proclamation for CS Ed Week and the importance of CS Ed in the state of Connecticut. So, and that'll certainly be on the news. Yeah, it's really cool. We're really excited about it. And I didn't say that in public. You never heard me say that because it's literally an hour old. This one, if I had to tell you the thing that the kids like the most, this was one of them. And you can do this with any age. Panel discussions. Find people who work in tech. The tricky part, if you serve in a Title I district like I do, is you also want to make sure you're trying to make sure your panel, at least in some level, also represents the students you serve. And that's been a trick for us. The first year we did this, we had, I think, an exclusively white panel. We've done better to integrate more diversity into the group in the recent years. But the panel discussions, we can organize those by Zoom. The magic of Zoom, you can actually do it. And then if you do classroom presentation tech, I can't get 600 people on Zoom. It will actually kill our school's network. And we have a really good network, but that would kill it. But what we can do is I can put out the Zoom link to all the teachers and all the classrooms go in. So they can put this up on the smartboard or whatever the presentation tech is and do that. So that's kind of how we handle it. We usually use student monitors or moderators. So I will sit 2 kids in my office with a set of questions and the panelists and 1 or 2 panelists. And usually the conversation, ours went on for an hour easily, but half an hour is plenty. And you give them a handful of questions. If you don't know what questions to ask, think of a couple, throw it into ChatGPT, and be amazed. Tell it to come up with 25 questions and you'll find 6 or 7 you're going to like. And so that's an easy lift. Get them to come, commit to the time, commit the whole school to hop on, use Teams because Teams is free, and get everybody to go onto your Teams link. And then if you're smart, you have the teachers who log in. The kid's got a question. You can say, Jamal has a question. What was your favorite subject in college? And then you can say, Jamal, the moderators can say, Jamal has a question. What was your favorite? And then they can say, oh, Jamal. And the kids love the connection with someone like that. So that would be the kind of thing you'd want to do. This year, the only thing I will say that we're doing differently is if you look here in our schedule right here, we used to do a panel of about 8 and it ran long. Kids struggled to pay attention. We're in the TikTok generation, so they have the attention span of a goldfish. And so in order to overcome that, we're going to do this year, and I'll let you know how it works. This is kind of our risk. We're going to do 3 or 4 panels of 1 or 2 people for 20 minutes and literally stop what we're doing. Here's one of our panels. Everybody logs in, quick meet. Here's what I do. Few questions. Thanks so much for coming. Now everybody go back to class. And it's a way of kind of reminding people through the week without having to make such a gigantic production. I'll let you know how it works out. Things we learned. These are some of the things I said. Zoom is fine, but you do want to get admins. One of the things you do have to say, you don't want to make this one a G if you're looking to log in, because there are going to be a lot of people who think that the only thing we do in computer science is teach kids how to code, and that it's not important. So therefore, well, I'm a language arts teacher. I'm a math specialist. This isn't my job. And yet here we all sit in front of a computer all day long. So to me, the only thing that Connecticut's behind on is that we haven't made this a 4-year requirement for every high school student. I really do believe that the ability to understand computer science is essential for whatever pathway your life is headed into, because there's no job you're going to take that isn't going to be in front of one of these. Game design workshop. Now, this is another fun one. Construct 3, excuse me. Construct 3 is an excellent piece. Construct 3 is an easy game design platform. Kids get into that. You'll hear the big one out there is called the Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is a great one for a high school that's running a game design program. It's got a huge learning curve. It's about as intuitive as Photoshop, meaning it's not intuitive at all. So you want to instead something like Construct 3, couple of quick pieces, and the kids are off and running. I will also tell you that if you reach out to Construct 3, I've had a lot of success saying, hey, can you play with it, and you play with the free version and you like it and you can run a little workshop, and then you write to Construct 3, they might give you 100 licenses for a month. And then you can kind of hand out the kid the pro version, and then they, and they are, thank you, Shannon. Thank you very much. They are compliant with Connecticut privacy laws. So that's helpful. They're a really good one with that. Unreal's also compliant, but Unreal, like I said, is not. I like this one for that. And Shannon, it's such an important piece because whenever you bring in new software, I'm sure you've had the experience that you usually have to talk to your tech department. They usually want to know about student data privacy compliance, and they're going to want to do some kind of a check. So, but it's not a bad idea. Student showcase. If you do have computer science classes in your school, talk to those teachers and do a student showcase. One of the things we did, and I feel really embarrassed, but I don't have a picture of it. So you're going to have to listen to my elucidations as I describe what we did. But we had a bunch of kids who had coded a bunch of simple, mostly text-based games out of we have 2 years of coding. The first year is Python. So the freshmen finished a full year of Python, and one of their final projects was they had to create a game. It was usually choose your own adventure type of a game, or in a couple of places they were quiz games, or they were, in some cases, they were a little bit of movement involved, maze games, things like that. And they created them. And then we just took a bank of all-in-ones because they got a lot of all-in-ones are not that hard to get, the all-in-one PCs, and you don't have to have supercharged machines. Line them up on a table, put chairs in front of it, and put the kids' games up. And then you put a little sign next to it, this game was made by so-and-so, and have the other kids play their games. And it's such a powerful thing. Turns your kids into superstars. So, and a great way to celebrate what's going on. We've done a lot of family coding events. This happens to be, we have an esports lab. So this is in an early iteration of our esports lab. Our new monitors aren't even in. But a lot of times, if you bring somebody in the evening for the price of pizza, oftentimes, or snacks, parents would love to come in and do some simple coding activities. And if you look on the choice board, that choice board is loaded with coding activities. A lot of those hour of code activities are in there. We also happen to have a license to Code Combat, but that's a pay for. So they often do that. They don't do the Code Combat side, they do the Azaria side. But Scratch, Code Combat, Microsoft Make Code is another one that is absolutely fabulous. Microsoft Make Code. And I highly recommend that. You build very simple games out of an interface like that.
What age would you say that's for?
Microsoft Make Code, these kids were doing this work at elementary school. Like
Wow.
all the kids you're looking at there, like this guy right here, if I remember correctly, he was 5, maybe 4. And mom was doing a little HOH on that, but it was working. This girl, I want to say, was about 7 or 8. He was 7 or 8. And she was like 6th grade. She was like middle school. And this little one was I'm going to say, definitely elementary age. So, and thank you, Shannon. I should have thrown that in there. Yes. So Microsoft Make Code, and it's free. It's freeware to everybody, and usually does very well. And it's web-based. This one is a recent discovery. I picked this one up at a workshop recently, and my own robotics team is going bananas over it. It's called Vex VR. And anybody here have a robotics program at your school? Anybody? No? Oh, too bad. Highly recommend. It's a lot of fun. But if you go to Vex VR, let me call it up real quick because I forgot to call it up. Vex Code VR is a fun one. There you go. And you can actually go through the whole data privacy thing. It does comply. But what happens is you can call up, it remembered my code from last time. You can go in and select the playground. I will, for example, take this playground. And if you know anything about robotics, the kids build robots, and then the robots usually have to perform tasks. And at the VEX competitions, there are 2 parts to it. There is always what's called the autonomous, and then there's the other one, manual. The autonomous means the kids have to actually program, and then the robot has to do things. And VEX IQ is usually the one that happens with middle school and elementary. If you go to VEX V5, then you're going to the high school level. It's just levels of complexity for the kids that you're working with. But the kids still do that. And then they have a wonderful view. And this, by the way, was a little program I did when I was preparing for tonight. All I do is hit play. There's no sound, so you're not missing anything. And that's just showing what it can do. So it's kind of a 3D virtual thing. If you're trying to get kids excited about robotics, or your robotics person is up, it's a great choice board. Put out a little challenge for them. And there's a lot of games in there that do some fun things. Give me a second. I have too many things open. Present. So, oh yeah, this is the presentation. I forgot that I actually had a slide that did it as well. So, now there's a couple of kitschy things that I've seen some teachers try, but it's not a bad idea. And I know everybody's thinking, oh, it sounds very elementary. And it is, not for nothing. It's also pretty wild when you do it in high school, too. So, I mean, totally all over this. Anybody guess what these women are dressed as on the side here? The left side of the screen. Take a second.
Search engines.
Yeah, they're browsers.
Browsers, yeah. You got Safari, and she's like in khaki, and she's carrying binoculars. And then Firefox, and she's got little fox ears going on. And then Google, and she's all dressed in primaries, the Google primary colors. So it's pretty cool. These women obviously are from different apps. And how about the one on the right? I got the biggest kick out of that one. Have we got what that is?
She looks like she's in a Zoom call.
Yep. And Kristen got the same one. Yep. Kristen saw your answer too. You're both right. She is a Zoom meeting. So she came in dressed as a Zoom meeting. So a fun thing to do, just again, it is about the joy of computer science. So have some fun with it. My CS Hero, it's on the CS Ed Week. It's on the CS Ed Week website. But if you've got the ability to print posters, they've got a whole activity in there called My CS Hero. And the kids can put themselves on a poster as the CS hero, or they can set up their teachers. CSTA did this nationally, and we've had some, including some friends of mine who've actually been on the national ones. When you look at the CS heroes, and some of the people there have been named, but then they've got a whole lesson where you can make your own. And if you got your own poster maker, why not? And you pick 2 or 3 kids, or make it a prize for the kids who, for example, if you do code.org's Hour of Code stuff, those kids, it'll count the number of lines of code the kids write. And then you can kid who wrote the most code that week can do something like that. Something like that where you make them heroes. Zinnia. If you're struggling with any of these activities, Zinnia is not an Hour of Code activity, but it's a nice support for some fun puzzles and projects that you can hand to kids at the younger levels that they can do inside of Scratch. I forgot to mention Scratch. Do y'all know Scratch? Because that one, she basically is a Scratch wizard. And she started this as a college student, and now she's off in the adult world. But she still makes her, it's a channel. It's essentially a YouTube channel, but it's a fabulous YouTube channel. And she puts out these really cool projects for kids to do. So you can hand them a video and send them off. Go ahead. Somebody had a question?
Yeah, I heard that Scratch is not Connecticut compliant. Can you speak to that?
I absolutely can. Correct, it is not Connecticut compliant. So what the kids can't do is sign in. But when you're inside of Scratch, there's a file that you download when you're inside of Scratch. And it's a very small file. It's a small text file, but it's actually the entire job. So if you download the file, the kid can download and upload and save the files. So the file can be loaded, and that way the kid doesn't sign in. You're violating no privacy laws. The thing that I find annoying about that, and this is just me speaking from my personal opinion, this is not CSTA official, is it's because the way Connecticut wrote their privacy law. There's something about any kid's creation belonging to the school and all of this, and it's like, and as soon as they create something, it creates you can't work in computer science without creating something. And almost all of the IDEs, the independent development integrated development environments, the places where you code, they're all online now. So it's going to be nearly impossible to comply with that. This is another fun one we did. This is definitely an older people's thing. We're fortunate enough to have an esports lab. This is stuff that we wrote to them, and we got free licenses on this. But if you have an esports program, you can actually do what we call gaming for equity. And it's a big thing because we're CREC. And since CREC's a big part of what we do, equity is a big part of what we do, and equity is kind of baked into what we do because we exist because of the Chef decision. Anybody here heard of Chef versus O'Neill? So you got it. And so we exist because of the chef decision. Consequently, equity is baked into it. So we do a lot of stuff. And here, the two games that we did, Dot's Home was a lot of fun. It's an interactive narrative game. And Dot, her parents were part of the civil rights movement. And so you're going through her discovering things about her past. Also, she brings a white boyfriend home, so it creates racial questions. There's a lot of racism questions. She runs into some sexism. So that kind of it's exploring a lot more issues. It's a little more complex than a shoot 'em up. And then Never Alone, it takes the Native Alaskan lens and looks at indigenous native tribes and peoples and villages and does quite a bit with them. So they're fun, they're exploratory, and it does usually involve, you have to work with your tech people. That's not a quick lift. It took us a little while to get this done, but there's a special kind of license you can get that will allow you to get multiple installations of this. But they're good games. And here we go. Perfect. I'm going to pause that and we pull it back just a second. Hang on. Give me a second. I'm trying to pause. Anybody know what that game is? It's a game called Overcooked. This is just a fun thing we do at the end of the week. One of the last things we do at the end of our week is we do a teachers versus students esports game. And we literally get a team of kids playing a team of teachers, and we take it in the auditorium. You get a big projector, you throw them the big thing, we put the two side by side, and the kids come in and they are like dying to get out of class. So this is a great chance to use leverage, like kids who are completely caught up in their work, kids who, whatever your positive behavior reinforcement plan, set a high bar for that. And all your other teachers will love you because these kids will be on their most amazing, best focused behavior because they want to go do this. And so always a good carrot to throw out in front of them. We do it for about an hour, and it is a fun assembly. But that's a game called Overcooked. And again, Overcooked is a fun one and a safe one to bring out in front of kids, because what you have to do is your whole team gets dropped in a restaurant and nobody has roles, and you have this serving task and the customers are walking in. So you very quickly have to decide, okay, I'm going to serve and you're going to cook, and you very quickly have to decide it, and you have to perform all the tasks. And then as the game progresses, it gets more and more difficult. When you play it head to head, you have to, work better as a team than the other team. So I've shared with you a lot of my ideas. I wanted to take just a minute and let me throw out my whiteboard challenge. And that's this. Did I have it here? I'm going to throw Canva. Has anybody here used Canva before? Okay, so Canva, we're marginally familiar with it. That's good. I'm going to share this, and you all will have edit access. And Shannon, if you can just share this. This was where I'll put all the other links to everything else. So everybody can hit that, and I can see people popping in right now. Yep, you're all popping in. That's great. Now, if I can be permitted to show you a quick tour, this is going to be the slide deck here. First thing to note, your cursor is an arrow. That's usually how things happen. If you hit your space bar, you'll notice that my cursor turns into a hand. That's how you move things around. Okay, right here in the bottom right-hand corner, that's your zoom. So if you go in, that allows you to see things closer and farther away. If you've done Canva before, you will notice that over here they have this elements, but Canva elements for whiteboards are different. They do a different tray of elements inside the whiteboard. All of the existing generative AI stuff is there. Plus you get things like sticky notes and shapes and whiteboard graphics. So you get a lot of those going on. You also can go over to the side here and pull up the apps like Magic Media, and you can still do generative AI and all the stuff that you can already do inside of Canva. But what my challenge is this. I'm going to give you all two questions, and I want to give us a few minutes to kind of think. And I'm going to ask us to work for about 5-6 minutes. And the first thing I'm going to ask you, and I will throw the questions out so that we have them together. Oh, wow, that was a little small. It's because I'm working with a fairly small whiteboard. And that is, what can you add to the idea bank? So first, what can you add to the idea bank? So what other ideas do you think of that you can do in your school that's there? And then for a bonus, if you can, one commitment. Just one thing that you're willing to try. It doesn't matter if it's, I'm going to do a choice board, whatever it is. When you're in there, you're going to grab a sticky note of any color. You literally grab it. You'll notice it goes in there. It's a little small. We're going to zoom in. You'll notice it puts it in with your name. I can say, I'm going to set up a gaming or equity experience. And then I literally drop it in there. And because I'm in the high school, I believe high school is blue, I'm going to drop it on the blue. That's all I need to do. Now, if you like it, then you can go over here to where it says whiteboard graphics. You can even see all. And I would also love to see y'all upvoting each other's ideas. So if you like the idea, or if you're wondering how I did that, I'll grab this, I'll throw it here, and I'll add it to it. And so how the heck are you going to do that? That's a way of, or I could go in and grab a +1, make it a little bit smaller, and do that. So everybody kind of get the idea?
Yeah. Can you remind me how to grab a sticky note, please?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love it. Over here at Elements, right here. And Elements will be, it might look like this on your side.
Yeah, you do have to be signed into Canva to see those.
Do you really?
Yep.
Oh, was not aware of that. Because according to this, the share, anybody with the link can edit. That's a little crazy. If you should be able to get in there by using your school address. And you could just do the sign in with Google thing, because most schools are attached to the Google backbone. That should let you in. Oh, I'm seeing a bunch of them coming in, and thank you for that. So there's the sticky notes. Underneath it are the shapes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set us a 5-minute timer. I'm going to grab some music. Let's do some upbeat music. We'll set the 5-minute timer. That's Jeanette. Jeanette? While you're all working in there. Jeanette, you had a question?
Well, can you hear me now? Okay.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Not that familiar with Canva. I have the sticky note. Silly question. How do I type on the sticky note? Do I need to
Click right on it. Click right on it.
Something?
Walk right through it. Right through here, right here. So I'm going to go right under here. I'm going to grab this sticky note right here that somebody put in, and you click right on it and type.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I don't know.
I'm having the same trouble, Jeanette. I don't know.
I can't type
Really?
on. And I am signed in through Canva. I went and signed in through my school account, but yeah, not sure what's up.
Yeah, same.
Are you grabbing stickies or shapes?
No, it's a sticky. I definitely grabbed the sticky from the Elements.
And Krishna found it and then clicked a few times.
Let's see. No.
One of the things they're defaulting. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, in the interest of that, because I'm sorry about that's an account access question that I probably cannot answer. And welcome to my universe of
okay. It's all right. It's okay.
Because I'm looking at some of this, and if you can pop some of your thoughts into the chat, we can get it up in there. I can just drop them right in. Mm. Carol, that sounds so neat. Oh, I love that. By the way, if you have other questions, I made us an authentic parking lot underneath it. Forgive the really kitschy way of putting that in there. I love that. Try for a bingo on the choice board. That's a great idea.
All right, so sorry, Jeanette again. So how do I read people's stickies?
Are you able to back off enough, Jeanette? Back away from it, like zoom out? Because you might be missing it. It might be in too
Yeah,
close.
at the bottom, there's a zoom slider.
Let's see. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't play with Canva much, or at least not this aspect. This is pretty cool, but I just had the kids do little templates and things.
This is great stuff. I just transcribed a couple of things that came in on the chat. So if you wanted to place them, they're in there now. I'm just doing a little bit of cleanup.
Hi, Don. It's Kim. I have a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
With the hour of code, can the students actually see the amount of lines of code that they've written? Or is that something that the teacher sees?
It's something the teacher sees.
Okay. So what I was thinking is they could be doing some coding, and then if the information came up for them, they could screenshot it for me to
Yeah.
prove. So the students could do that, or
Yeah,
it
the
would
students, yeah. That is a fabulous question.
just thinking of a little competition and proving that they completed and that kind of stuff. The bingo card. I love the idea of the bingo card. So here's my screenshot that I did, 20 lines of code. Bingo.
Give me a second. What I'm doing right now, Kim, is I'm trying to get you that answer. There's nothing in here, kid side, that tells you how many lines of code they wrote. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. So would they have to sign in, and a teacher make a classroom to kind of get that information?
They'd have to do that.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks.
Kenny's popping some information in the chat. Kids can see it. After each step is completed, it usually pops up at the top and says, "You've completed blank lines of code." Yeah, I
That's
remember
right,
that.
Jenny. I remember that
Jenny.
now. I was wrong.
Nice.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I forgot that. And then
I always make sure that when I was working with elementary students too, I would make sure that they click, because sometimes they jump through things so quickly and they don't look, I think they call it looking under the hood when they're doing hour of code, because they could just use Blockly and don't understand, like, whenever it shows them the lines of code, I'm trying to remember, and then it shows them what the code actually looks like. And I think that's so important to show kids
yes.
that it's not just the blocks.
What
It's
she's talking. Oh, I was about to show it, and I was like, when she's talking, because I pulled that project up. Let me get right to that. To illustrate what you're talking about. That's an excellent point. So right in here, for example, so we make a new cat, which puts the new figure in, and then it's body roll, and I then I make make the cat do that, and then I will add a sloth, and then I'll have the sloth. And I'm going to move the sloth to the right. So there we go. And now I'll just hit run. And then, and I'm sorry, I didn't switch that up, but it played music in there. But then when you go to show code, that's what she's talking about. And that's JavaScript. JavaScript is a fairly common language on the World Wide Web. So an awful lot of what you see is written in JavaScript.
the other thing, John, that I love to show students is go on any web page. You could be on Google Classroom or whatever, and I don't remember what the menu is because I'm not really using a Mac much anymore, but Mac, PC, whatever. And then you go to the view source code. Yeah, that exactly.
Yeah,
It just kind of blows. If the
try to
kids have
be your
never,
man of light on that one. Absolutely right.
yeah,
Absolutely right. And this is a great way to show a lot of things, including, by the way, if you ever get into web design, what all this crap means, because that's fairly important stuff. And this stuff, you can see entirely how. Remember when we said JavaScript? This is actual JavaScript in the wild. So an awful lot of it's commented out, but it's JavaScript in the wild. And so that's actually what it looks like. And it just gives you that. The other thing you can do is inspect. And inspect is kind of cool because then when you hover over certain things, it actually changes. You hover over certain pieces of code, and it will show you what that does. So that container, the full width div container, actually has all of this going on inside of it, and it's all structured inside of the div container. So they can actually see how the code interacts with the website they're on. That's a great point, Jenny. Well done. Love that. Cool. Carolyn, I've used choice boards. Yes, Jenny, please continue. Everybody should feel, at liberty to do that. So I saw in here, I just want to highlight, I've used choice boards before, and others have shared, but I haven't created my own. Did you show how to create them at the beginning of the session? I did not. I can do that very quickly because it's when you see it, you'll be like, oh my God, that's easy. Carolyn, Jenny, you wanted to talk about Shannon Miller's choice boards for a sec? Mhm. You can publish slides to the web. I actually prefer to use sites for that. It's the only thing I like sites for. I love that idea, and I love the idea of leveraging slides. I if you've got a communications like management platform like that, those are fabulous, and that's what they're designed to do. So well done using technology that way. I mean, that's brilliant. It's why people don't understand how valuable librarians are to the school because they figure that mess out. And so, those of you who've never done this before, I went into Google and I call this the waffle. It's the app tray. Go over to sites. It calls it up. I got a bunch of sites we're working here, and I don't use sites much because I think they're ugly. But I will tell you, they're quick and they're easy, and you throw things in, and you can get content blocks and table of contents and buttons. And if you've got YouTube videos, it drops it in easily. It's all very much intuitive. So if I wanted to bring in a block, you click on it, and then this is my first block and my ramblings. The nice thing about it is if you wanted to use a picture, you can go to select image, and it will actually conduct a Google search for you. You can go to Google Images. These are all copyright safe. So, and you can pull out a school library. Okay, let's go stereotype, shall we? No, we're going to be nice. And so, there we go. That's actually a proper shelf. And so you can easily do that, change the title, change the header type. That's how we did it. You can upload images. So when you look at our choice board, this is me changing the header on this. And all the stuff that went into our choice board, which is there we go. These are very much how we laid it in there. And the nice thing about it is most of it's drag and drop. So I can take this, I can move this over to here, and I can pull this. So I have to pull this over here first. I usually have to, well, I've undone it twice. I usually have to pull this down to a second row, and then I'll pull this over here. I'll put this over here, and I've now switched sides. Everything's very quick, easy, drag and drop. If I've got a YouTube video, I go down here and I grab the YouTube video that I did over here. Where is it? YouTube. And it works brilliantly with YouTube because, of course, you know that Google owns YouTube. So that's why Google and YouTube live together so well. So, but pay attention, want to draw everyone's attention. Shannon put a link in there. There's a link in there.
Just some sample choice boards. I also put a list of them in the I put the same ones in the Canva.
That's great.
Just
Thank you
samples for people to look at, to think about.
Love that. These are great choice boards. And it's the essence of UDL. So that's kind of what I had. I love that. Let me just zoom in on this just to review these. I'm just going to go into this a little bit. Jenny, what are you doing about posters? Oh, the CS Heroes posters. I love the idea of a family coding night and the CS Hero poster to acknowledge the number of lines of code. Love that. Choice board ideas and doing something different throughout the week. Invite kids after school one day to do an hour of code. Thank you. Oh my God, giving up your own time for your kids. I love that. I'm going to try an hour of code activities. The idea of choice board. I loved the bingo. That was my laugh in there. It just made me laugh because I love the idea of a bingo game. Just making the kids try different things. Plan to create a choice board with my classroom teachers. We'll use it while students are in my library class. I use choice boards all the time, so that's a format everyone's comfortable with. Yay. I'm committed to adding coding to my library and have resources. Appreciate having this network. Yes, this is a great network. You folks are amazing. Love to challenge teachers to complete certain levels. Yes. By the way, in our hour of code, I love that. I should have said that up front.
I love that too.
Like everybody codes, just like when we do the reading celebrations and the teacher picks up a book. When you do the coding celebrations, have the teachers get on there and if they can, do it on the smartboard. What'll happen too is if some kids get into some trouble with their own coding, they'll jump in and help the teacher. And next thing you know, you got kids working in groups on coding, which, by the way, is how it really works in the real world. We are in the age of collaborative development, so that's totally normal and authentic. Challenge certain teachers. Okay, I may also use a game as an incentive to get students to complete work in order to participate. I love that. And then I have some coding cards. What are these coding cards? That's Carolyn. Can you talk about the coding cards?
Sorry, I was trying to find the unmute
Totally.
button. I think I printed them. I can't even fully remember. I might have found it online or something, but it was related to Bbot. And I think I printed out all the moves it has you do. And so like I physically have the kids move forward one, and it's like an up arrow. If you know the Bbot, it's really simple. And so, and then sometimes it has the words. So I don't know if I found it on like Teachers Pay Teachers or something like that, but I found the little cards and I printed them and laminated them. And in the past, I just had them move and see if it works. See if they can follow the directions too.
Well, that's algorithmic thinking. When you think about what computational thinking is the ability to follow directions. That's what an algorithm is. So you're actually doing that in that space. I love that. I also love that it's unplugged. One of the misnomers about computer science education is that you've always got to be staring at a screen. Yes, you do want to know how to code, but sometimes understanding the concepts involves cards, walking, robot games, which is what you're talking about, robot problems. Because robot problems, by the way, you start them in elementary school. Robot problems represent 20% of the AP Computer Science Principles exam, which my entire sophomore class takes. And they have in Python algorithm or pseudocode, which is coding that presents logic without syntax. They have to solve robot problems. So the robot problems that you're starting with them in the elementary level is the kind of thinking they have to do forever. I love that.
It's also helpful when they need movement breaks and you have them actually physically running around.
And you can get to a movement break that also has them thinking. Like you're really not, you're just so many layers, so many layers. See if there are any more that I missed. Oh, make sure you get over here. And was it Shannon or was it Jenny? I forgot. Somebody was giving you ideas of choice boards. Let me just grab that. I just want to highlight that. Hang on. Choice boards. I'll do that right in here. And I will actually grab an element. And come on, give me a more entertaining. That would suck. Give me a better graphic.
All right, coming down to wire. 2 minutes, John. 2 minutes to wrap it up.
The arrow. I apologize.
It's okay.
Grab the arrow here. Here we
We're
go.
all complete.
There we go.
Great hour.
All right. That is all I had. So I'm here for any questions that you might have. And I've gotten about everything that you need. So what can I give you tonight? Is there anything more I can help with? Oh, Codable. Yes, I've heard of Codable. It's a fabulous program.
We definitely want the link to your slideshow if you're willing to share it.
It's here. You have it.
I do? Perfect.
It's right here. Oops, I'm just going to take this. That was kind of a space thing. Hang on. Give me a second. Oh, here we go. I'll make it a little more obvious. I'll put it right there.
Aha, thank you. That's perfect.
There we go.
Awesome.
And that's just a link in there.
Thank you so much. This has been fantastic.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was tickled to be asked. Thank you so much for having me. It was more fun than I've had in a long time.
And then we can't wait to reciprocate with all our makerspace stuff. So we'll have to set
We're hoping to do that. We're hoping to do something this spring for sure. So thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, John. Good night, everybody. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.